Welcome to Scrapheap Challenge, the show where two teams of eager eggheads race to construct cunningly cobbled contraptions out of scrap.
And this week we're challenging our teams to build wave-pounding powerboats, capable of racing around our Scrapheap Lake. We want our teams to build scrap versions of these aquatic monsters. Once built, they'll race them up our 200-metre course, negotiate this tight turn, and then sprint back for home. Sounds easy, but here at Scrapheap Challenge we have had a truly appalling record when it comes to waterborne races. Our last endeavour was back in Series 8, when our fastest drag boat was blown across the line by a gust of wind. Our teams will have to come up with watertight designs if they want to stay afloat in this week's challenge and avoid a humiliating swim home.
First to dip their toes in our perilous lake of scrap are a trio of motocross-mad farm boys from Somerset. Country boys at heart, they're never happier than when they're out in the open ripping up the mucky stuff. Taking the helm this week will be Captain Kenny, who will be ably assisted by his brother Chris and fellow scavenger Mike. They are the Somerset Scramblers.
Our second team, marching boldly in pursuit of Scrapheap glory, is a battalion of Berkshire-based military vehicle enthusiasts. These army anoraks can think of no finer way of spending a summer's afternoon than ploughing their fleet of tanks and troop carriers through an accommodating field. Taking command will be Captain Bob, and he'll be supported by scavengers Mario and Paul. They are the Rusty Regiment.
Welcome, teams. Well, I hope you've brought your swimming trunks with you, because today's challenge is going to be wet and wild. We want you to rewrite the Scrapheap record book by building powerboats that can actually go fast and stay afloat at the same time.
Oh yes, teams, it's time to sink or swim, as you have just 10 hours to complete your marine masterpieces, and your time starts on the bong of the gong.
Now wait for it, team, wait for it. Here it goes. Whoa! The challenge has been set and the race is now on for our teams to dream up their watery wonder boats.
Right, chaps, powerboats. Know anything about powerboats? Absolutely nothing.
Well, guys, powerboats, what do you think?
Fantastic. I reckon we need a nice, fast, streamlined hull. Yeah.
I was thinking something like a van roof, you know, like off a transit. Put a big engine in.
Powerful engine, not too heavy. Yeah. So we can mount our bikes up there.
But would it have the power to drive down through?
All three of them.
Our teams are brimming with ideas, so to help steer them in the right direction, we've enlisted two powerboat powerhouses.
Hoping to send the Somerset Scramblers soaring across the waves is a man who designs powerboats for a living. He works for the highly successful Banana Shark racing team and sports the best salty sea dog beard since Captain Birdseye. He's Kevin Kitten Stevens.
Hi guys, I'm Kitten, I'm your expert for the day. Right, what have we got so far then?
Got a hull from a base point of view, needs to be strong and light.
So you've got a single hull at the moment. To go a bit faster,
right,
you want to get as much of the boat out of the water as possible.
Yeah.
3-point hydroplane, very simple. 2 floats at the front, some sort of framework to hold it all together, float at the back, engine in the back of there, prop shaft sticking out the back. How far have you got with the idea of the engine?
Something light and powerful.
Right.
Maybe a motorbike engine, higher revving, 4-stroke, plenty of torque.
Awesome.
How are you going to steer this?
We're going to have a rudder at the back,
right,
and steer it with that.
Okay.
Right.
The Somerset Scramblers are going to stick with what they know and use a motorbike engine to power a lightweight, 3-pointed hydroplane. A successful design should see our country bumpkins lift out of the water and fly across our lake. However, with all of that weight at the rear, they could end up with a waterborne wheelie machine.
So you're talking bike 600 minimum?
Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
Water cooled would be a preference.
Yeah.
Helping the Rusty Regiment with their battle plan is a marine engine mastermind. He's also designed, built and raced powerboats, so what this man doesn't know about belting across the brine isn't worth knowing. He's John J.F. Fuller.
Hello guys, what have you got in mind then?
Well, I mean, the idea we've got at the moment is try and get a high-sided van roof, put a big engine in there to give it some power.
Yeah.
Paul's come up with the idea of having the long prop, but we're still undecided on that.
That all sounds fantastic. Now, I definitely think we need to be going along the really nice, simple lines of a basic hull. We want to keep this as simple as possible because obviously we're very limited on time here. We need something that's going to plane and skim along the water, which is half of the job. And the other half of the job is to float when it's not moving along. So they're two separate jobs we've got to battle with. And what I reckon we should do is we should effectively have a bundle of 45-gallon drums, big oil drums. This running surface, which will be on the bottom of this, needs to have very sharp edges on the bottom. You can't allow it to have the round sides of the boat because it'll suck itself into the water. The water needs to be able to break away from the sides and the back of the boat.
Like a ski.
Exactly like a ski.
The Rusty Regiment intend to build the scrap equivalent of a rigid inflatable boat, or rib to nautical folk. They want to use oil drums for flotation and a ski-like hull which will form a planing surface to lift them clear of the waves. A large car engine will be their power source. But petrol engines and water don't mix. And with all of that wet stuff sloshing around, it could be a very short voyage indeed.
Uh-oh. So it's a bit like a rib then, really?
A bit like a rib, yeah. A scrap rib.
So what we need now is a shopping list.
Power plant, we need it as light as possible.
8 drums.
Plenty of alley sheet.
Lots and lots of tubes of silicone. Stop all the holes.
Engine.
The biggest monster you can find out there.
Yes.
Right, guys, you got your list?
Clock's ticking. Get out there and go for it.
Let's go.
Get on.
Let's go.
With their orders received, it's time for our scrap mariners to set sail on the sea of junk.
So will the teams break the scrap heap curse and make speedy boats that actually float?
Or will the heat...
A scrap heap first, to build powerboats that actually go fast. Military vehicle enthusiasts, the Rusty Regiment, and their expert, John J.F. Fuller, want to build a scrap rigid inflatable boat, or rib, with oil drums to provide flotation, a ski-like hull fashioned from scrap metal, and to get them flying, they plan to add a large car engine.
West Country motocross fanatics, the Somerset Scramblers, and their expert, Kevin Kitten Stevens, are planning to build a high-tech hydroplane with a motor...
What about this? Keep looking.
That surfboard will make a great ready-made front sponson for their three-pointed hydroplane.
Right, we got a nice clean breakaway for a planing surface.
Ideal.
Planing surface. Sounds like a good time to explain this week's science.
This challenge is all about planing. Unlike conventional boats, which have to push their way through the water, a planing boat's hull is specifically designed to increase the pressure of the water passing beneath it. This provides lift, allowing it to travel across the surface at much greater speeds.
Right, next.
Well, I got mine, look.
Yeah.
To get their boat flying, the Rusty Regiment are on the lookout for a beefy engine. And they might have struck gold in the shape of a rather macabre motor.
We found a big black hearse of some kind.
That sounds fantastic. Just bring it in if you can.
Whilst Paul and Mario work out how they're going to shift that hefty hearse from under a ton of scrap, Bob and JF contemplate a very morbid makeover.
I think we can keep all the fittings, can't we? All the little round knobs.
ornate.
Yeah.
And the bit they slide the stiffs on.
That's right. If there's any curtains in there, we've got to keep the curtains.
OK, that's a deal.
The Somerset Scramblers must have set their scrap detectors to stun. They've backed themselves another surfboard.
I'll run back with it. You gonna go? I'll go.
So they're not, like, hanging around, really, are they? Does the fact that they're younger mean they've got more energy?
I think that might be a clue.
Just pull, Mike. I'll pull on this. You pull that.
Chris and Mike are running at full throttle. Another spin round the heap has unearthed this beefy-looking motorbike. A perfect engine donor for their hydroplane.
Hang on, let's get this thing, mate.
Kenny?
Yeah.
We got a bike here, Kawasaki, a shaft-driven 1000cc. Is that going to be too much?
That sounds absolutely perfect. Bring it on in, fast you can. 1000cc bike kit, and you good?
Yeah, we might be able to squeeze a few GTs out of that one.
Well, mind the boards.
All right, boys.
They'll have to make sure it's a runner, but these boys know a thing or two about making bikes purr.
The Somerset Scramblers are fresh-faced country boys making an honest living down on the farm. But at the end of the working day, it's time to get mucky. Heading up this trio of dirt bike demons is Kenny.
Tends to take control quite a lot.
Not afraid of letting you know what he thinks.
When I get on the heap, I think it'll become my workshop.
Riding aside Kenny on their trail of scrap is his little brother.
Chris, competitive.
He's a very determined person. He's very fast. Everything's got to be done faster than light, you know.
And bringing up the rear is mechanical maestro Mike.
I would say, in a word, forgetful.
I have been known to forget a few things before, yeah.
Sorry, what was I just saying? What was I just saying? I only forget things I don't need to remember.
These boys are used to getting stuck in on the farm, but how will they fare on the heap?
We could definitely win this.
As a team, we'll do very well. The others better look out.
I can't keep up with you youngsters. Terrifying. I've never seen in 10 years of Scrapheap a team that works at this speed. Looks like you've got nearly everything you need already.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's just some alley poles for the main frame.
Right, you've got a bike already.
Yeah, got a bike.
You've got how many surfboards? It
Two of those, yeah.
I love it that you don't even need the quad. Quads just aren't fast enough for you guys.
Oh, no.
It hasn't got the pace.
So much we can't plan until we've got the bits.
There's little for the Rusty Regiment to laugh about.
Come on, boys.
They're still struggling to dig up the remains of that. Is refusing to give up the fight. But when it comes to moving heavy metal, these make-believe military men take no prisoners.
Some boys stop playing with toys when they get bigger, and some boys just get bigger toys.
My name's Bob. I'm the team captain of the Rusty Regiment.
Bob, he's too serious and he spits his dummy out on regular occasions over nothing.
Bob's second in command and chief spanner man is Paul.
Welder, engineer, mechanic.
He's a very bad friend. Takes me to the pub and gets me drunk. Never misses an opportunity to take the mickey.
And last but by no means least is Mario.
Mario? My God, he's a big one.
He hasn't exactly got a skill other than be Mario.
My duty in life is to wind the captain up.
So what draws these men to these battlefield behemoths?
Fun, noisy, smoky, big boys' toys.
And it started off with Land Rover, and they seem to have got bigger and bigger.
And their scrap heap plan of attack?
Our battle plan has got to be get what we can, nick everybody else's, and be right naughty.
We're the Rusty Regiment. Let battle commence.
Rusty Regiment. Now, what are we up to here? What are you trying to pull out?
We found a large V6 engine.
A hearse.
How are you going to turn a hearse into a powerboat?
No, we want the engine and gearbox.
Engine and gearbox, not the rest of it.
It's automatic, so...
Right,
it works
so you're going for big, meaty engine.
Oh, yeah.
V6.
V6,
Yeah.
loads of power.
Yeah.
Have you spotted your opponents today? They are running around like men possessed.
Young, fit things.
Yeah.
They won't last long.
Tortoise and the hare.
Bold words from the military men, but those West Country whippersnappers aren't flagging yet.
The boot in the right place.
1, 2, 3. Hello.
I am completely astonished.
Hi, Lisa.
Normally, when I come and talk to the captain, the expert at this stage of the day, there's sort of them and maybe one bit of scrap in the build area. What do you reckon to your team so far?
The team are great. I mean, the guys out there on the thing, they're ferreting around. We can just hear them crashing about. And every so often you see a little bit of orange pop up, like a gopher, look around like this, and then straight back in the heap again. They've come up with the bike. We got some rather nice front sponsons here, which the boys have managed to dig out from somewhere.
Really lightweight.
Lots of flotation.
Now, I was going to say, usually historically boats on Scrapheap have been quite difficult builds. But the way you started, I'm not sure that it's going to be. I mean, do you think you're going to be able to break the previous records of Scrapheap and actually make this boat work?
If anyone can, we can.
We'll have the beers in by about 6 o'clock. And we'll go around and watch them sweat.
That is what I like to hear.
It's confidence o'clock in the Somerset Scramblers build bay, and with good reason too. Those supersonic scavengers just keep on delivering.
Cheers, Chris.
Well done, Chris.
Have a look. What's that? Got the prop.
Oh, they got a prop, haven't they?
We got a prop.
It's ideal.
Only minor problem is it ain't got enough pitch. We want a little bit bigger. We want more angle on the blades. We want bigger blades.
A boat's propeller works by pushing water backward. The size and pitch of the blades determine how much water is pushed with each revolution. For a prop to be efficient, it has to match the engine it's going to be attached to. Too small a propeller will spin very fast, creating a lot of foam, but very little forward movement. If the prop is too big, the engine could struggle to move the large amount of water, with disastrous consequences.
Fortunately, West Country's scrap hounds Mike and Chris are on the hunt for the perfect prop, and with their scavenging skill, it won't be long before they...
Yeah, propeller that.
Oh.
He's shiny. He's shiny, if nothing else, he's shiny. I'll run it back.
Oh, you little bitty.
Any good?
Now that is a hydro prop. That's what we're looking for.
Right.
That should give us plenty of lift.
Bobby, we like Scrapheap firsts, and I can honestly say I have not seen a team out of the starting blocks quite as fast as the Somerset Scramblers. I know they're young, but talk about keen. They have run everywhere. Absolutely incredible.
Watch it, ease up.
It shouldn't really go on about the age thing, but you know, one team, they're not in the first spring of youth.
No, I mean, we're not, and it's not. No. It's no criticism.
No criticism. They're solid, sensible men in their middle age. Experience counts for a lot.
It does.
But it doesn't seem to count for actually getting anything in their build area, because there's nothing there at all. But they have a very sensible design, simple, straightforward design. They just don't have the barrels or the engine or the propeller or the drive shaft or anything.
Yeah, I'm not going to give it a big one, trust me.
And Rob's not wrong. The Rusty Regiment are well and truly in the doldrums. Mario and Paul are having no joy in raising that hearse from the dead. Captain Bob and expert JF have yet to lift a spanner in anger.
Ask him again where they're at with the car, and can you stress to him that we need some materials, and the car is probably not the first thing on the list that we could do with. We could really do with these oil drums.
JF can stand easy because scavengers Paul and Mario have already given up on the stubborn hearse and headed off in search of easier pickings.
Make sure they've got bungs in them, Paul.
Oh, they're all stuck together.
Are they welded or stuck together, Paul?
No, welded.
The gods of scrap aren't smiling on the Rusty Regiment.
No, that's not going to work.
Even shifting these old barrels is going to be back-breaking work.
How about taking this top one, Paul? What? Taking this top one to get to the others.
Oh, boys.
Hello.
We'll be back.
Oh, a bit warm.
Struggling with some drums, that's like. How much you boys got then?
Lots.
Ah, good. We've got lots more. Well, we would give you a hand, but we've got a boat to make. Next gear up, boys.
I bet you're busy.
Yeah, always busy.
It looks like the Rusty Regiment are in for the long haul, so this is a good time to pipe aboard this week's judge.
Returning to the heap is a lady with powerboating pedigree. She was last with us when she had the dubious pleasure of overseeing the socky travesty that was drag boats back in Series 8. She's held the women's water speed record and is the daughter of Donald Campbell, whose passionate attempt to beat his own water speed record unfortunately cost him his life. Currently overseeing the restoration of her father's fateful boat Bluebird, she's Gina Campbell, and she's brought along a very special guest.
His name is Mr. Woppet.
Actually, Mr. Woppet, I'm very pleased to meet you. So he was sitting under your father's seat on the day of the crash, so that's where he...
He was my father's mascot, and when they were searching for Bluebird and my father after the accident, he was the only thing came bobbing up to the surface.
So he was floating on the surface then?
Yes.
Right. So after the accident then, the craft was on the bottom of Coniston Lake for what, 34 years or something?
It was approximately 34 years when a young diver from Newcastle, Bill Smith, took it upon himself to locate it. It was his boyhood dream.
And so you found the majority of the parts?
Oh yes, I mean from the cockpit back, she's fully intact. She was submerged in the mud and that preserved her.
So the long-term plan then is to recreate it as it was. I mean, as a functioning.
Oh yes, she will fire up and she will run on the lake.
Wow. So we definitely have a very youthful and extremely fast team with the Scramblers. I mean, they've scavenged faster than I've ever seen.
Raced ahead. No, I find it very interesting today that the Scramblers' design is so similar to the famous Bluebird K7 design here. Right. A hydroplane is a very, very tried and tested design. Right. But then we can't discount the others, can we?
No. Well, the rest of the regiment, we're hoping, have experience on their side. They don't.
They certainly look like it, yes.
Yes. They look like they've knocked about a bit.
They certainly do. Let's hope that they don't rust up.
Yes. Now, Gina, the one thing I've got to ask you is because you've got to say which team you put your 50p on. The Rusty Regiment or the Somerset Scramblers. Two quite different approaches, isn't it?
I'm going to have to stick with my love for hydroplanes, and I think the Somerset Scramblers could be our lads.
Gina's faith in the Somerset Scramblers is well founded, as scavengers Chris and Mike are currently laying waste to the sides of this refrigeration lorry. They'll use the fibreboard panel to build the rear hull of their high-tech hydroplane.
Snap the last bit. Go there. Here we go! Hey!
The only thing building in the rusty regiment bay is frustration.
I really want to get my teeth into this doing these drums bit now. Because we look like we've done nothing.
But finally their waiting is over as the first barrels arrive.
Well done, mate. Cool.
It's a start, but unless they can haul that hearse from the heap, their challenge is still dead in the water.
Oh, what's the pain? Oh, mate.
Teams, your attention please. 6 hours remaining today. You have 6 more build hours remaining today. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome back to Scrap Heap Challenge, where very soon our teams will need one of these. Where's yours, Rob? This week we're challenging our teams to go where no Scrap Heap team has gone before and build powerboats that actually go fast. We'll be taking them here to the Scrap Heap Lake, where they'll race head-to-head on our high-speed course.
The motorbike-mad Somerset Scramblers and their expert Kitten are well on their way to building their lightweight 3-point hydroplane with a bike engine mounted at the back to send them flying across the water.
Here we go!
They blitz the heap in their scavenge and with most of their parts sourced are looking in great shape for the build.
Military vehicle enthusiasts, the Rusty Regiment, and their expert JF are attempting to construct a scrap rib with oil drum pontoons and a large car engine to power it across the pond. They spent an eternity trying to shift this V6 powered hearse without any joy, leaving their captain and expert with just a bunch of barrels to keep them busy.
Half the day has slipped away and impetuous Italian Mario has decided to adopt a more direct approach to budging that creepy cruiser.
It's coming. It's a roller.
All that remains now is to take this hefty hearse to its final resting place.
Lights are on, no one's home.
Plus, we'll have some of that.
These long tubes will make excellent snorkels for their exhaust system.
But don't worry about it, we ain't got it.
Scavengers Mike and Chris have been busy extracting a CV joint from a front-wheel drive car.
Hey, Boyle! Hello. We brought 2, we only wanted 1. Good man.
Kitten is hoping the double-ended joint will make a great way of attaching their propeller to their engine's drive shaft.
Right, what we got to do here, look, chaps? We got
Afternoon, Scramblers. Oh,
hello,
Now, when I first walked in, I thought this was some sort of clever framework to hold something, but that's the exhaust.
That's the exhaust.
Mario takes on a more advisory role.
Oh, you're naughty.
Steady.
Perhaps he can get a better view from outside. Pride in tatters, the meaty Mediterranean finally gets his hands dirty.
Well done.
Back at base, now they know the size of that V6, Bob and JF can start on the framework which will hold their scrap rib together. After a disastrous morning scavenge, dynamic duo Mario and Paul have uncovered a likely-looking prop, although they don't seem in a hurry to rush it back to base.
Do you know, I do believe it's raining.
Come on, boys, keep it up.
There's something wrong with that, boy.
That young whippersnapper may well mock them, but that propeller is the last piece in a very simple puzzle.
By contrast, the Somerset Scramblers hydroplane is a complex kettle of fish. To keep his team on track, Captain Kenny calls for a catch-up.
What shape should we make the hole then?
At a guess, we're going to have standing water level about here somewhere. So I reckon we want to bring that up to about there. So what's that, about 4 or 5 inches?
4 inches, 100 mil.
4 inches, right, 100 mil up off there.
Right then, so we need some 100 mil spaces, don't we? And then gotta make this box frame up so we can do it.
The Somerset Scramblers are undoubtedly speedy workers, but they'll have to be careful not to let their tricky design bog them down.
No such worries next door, and with the scavengers back at base, the Rusty Regiment can get stuck in. With his mitts on that peppy-looking prop, JF gets busy with their drive system. Ace welder Paul is fabricating their scrap ribs bow, and outside, Bob's come up with a less time-consuming way of removing an engine and gearbox. He's just cutting the car in half.
Jane, from casual observation of the two teams, it does seem there's an alarming difference in the state they've managed to get to.
The scramblers have come in very quickly with all their stuff and they've got it all laid out nicely, but they've still got a lot to do. You know, it's quite complicated if you look in their workshop what they have to put together. Whereas our rusty regiment over there, they haven't rusted up, and now they've got that hearse to pieces. I think they're going to rattle ahead.
Right, so the engine size that the Rusty Regiment have, you don't think that's an issue for them?
As long as they can get it moving, if they can get these things up on the plane, they don't need any flotation at all. You know, the principle of, here we go.
Yes. So, I mean, have you changed your mind at all about who you put 50p at? Yes.
Can I put 50 on each, or is that cheating?
That's definitely cheating. I need one.
Okay, I'll stick. I'll stay with my first bet.
You're going to stay with the Somerset Scramblers?
Yes.
Yes, there's a lot of that going on.
That time is slipping away, Captain Kenny is determined not to make any mistakes and insists that they check their bike engine fits in the rear hull. He needn't have worried, but surely it would have been easier to remove the front wheel before they put it in the boat.
Next door, the Rusty Regiment's bare-bones design has seen them pull ahead of their youthful adversaries. JF has made a beautiful job of their drive system, and they're now ready to lift their planing surface into position.
You guys going to come over here and help us?
Right.
The Berkshire boys waste no time securing that hull to their frame.
Okay, I've just got to put a rivet in there, Paul. Pushing against it.
Adding an aluminium skin to the bow completes their hull. But remember, communication is vital when drilling inches away from your teammate's head.
Yeah, okay.
2 inches up from
Carry
that.
on.
Not wishing to be left out, Mario is ensuring that the boat isn't blown away by a freak gust of wind.
As you may have realised, Scrapheap Challenge doesn't have the best reputation when it comes to racing boats. So I thought it would be a good idea to send Lisa down to Southampton to get a few tips from the professionals.
Ah, Southampton, a city soaked in maritime history. If I'm going to find somebody to teach me the do's and don'ts of powerboating, then I'm going to find them here. This fine-looking fellow is Neil Holmes, and he's rather good at driving powerboats. With 7 World Championship titles to his name, he should be just the chap to show me the ropes.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Very good.
So you are the man to help break the Scrapheap curse. Whenever we've built powerboats in the past, they've done about 3, maybe 4 miles an hour, being beaten by baby ducks.
Not so good.
Not so good. But your record in powerboats is somewhat more impressive, I understand.
Yes, I've won a few races, yeah.
How about building? How long did it take to build this one?
From the drawing block to this standard was about 9 months.
9 months? We only give our contestants 10 hours. I mean, do you think this challenge is actually impossible?
I wouldn't say it's impossible, but if they outperform that, I'd be very upset.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. OK, can we get in and give it a shot?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Brilliant. God, we're only doing just over 40, and it feels so much faster than that, doesn't it? It's actually quite scary, because I'm in charge of this thing. I'm trying to think of something lucid and interesting to say for the camera, but I'm too scared. That's quite exciting. I mean, you know, really quite exciting. I think I might have wet my pants.
There's no such problem with the Rusty Regiment.
Wait to flick go! Go down!
That's quite heavy, isn't it?
It is.
Oh, these stars are pretty.
Can we get that one under then? Come on.
The whole team is finally pulling together, and even Mario's found a good use for his spare tyre.
1, 2, 3.
Right down.
Rusty Regiment. It is a boat. I mean, you know, of time.
Let's get in there.
Right, there's not much time left. How much have you got to do? I can see that the engine is attached to
Yeah, we're
the
all
prop.
coupled there. We're coupled. We've got to put that rudder in. I'm just welding we've got a centre skeg on it because we've got to get around that turn quick at the top.
We have got a lot of wires here. Is it one of those engines where you've got to keep all electrics intact, otherwise it doesn't work?
Yeah, unfortunately.
And are you still having your idea that the water's going to be sloshing around the bottom of the boat?
Yeah, we like that.
Water and electrics, is that going to be?
That'll be fine. Once we get going, all the water will spill out of the back, and
so it'll be on water rolling downhill.
A little bit of that, not too much, hopefully.
And on the back there, we're going to put 2 hooks for water skiing if you want to have a quick go.
Absolutely, that won't be a problem at all. Should we get it planing first and then worry about the water skiing
we'll worry about
afterwards?
that later.
Excellent. Right, I shall leave to get on with it. The Rusty Regiment may be on the home straight, but next door the boys from Somerset are on a frenzied scramble to finish their hydroplane. They're battling to attach those front sponsons to their hull.
Stick it on top at an angle downwards.
Meanwhile, Kitten is still toiling with their drive system, with Captain Kenny anxiously watching his every move. The pressure.
A challenge on Scrapheap.
But isn't it up the wrong way?
Yeah, I just wanted to know if it's going to go through the hole.
No, stupid boy Pike.
So have you changed your mind at all? I've got a feeling you're still fairly going for the scramblers. I mean,
I've always told you I'm a hydroplane person, so we'll see. And Mr. Woppett, he likes hydroplanes.
Does he?
Yes, that's been his life, you know.
He must be getting tired now, Mr.
Yes, he
Woppett.
is. He just wants a honey sandwich and...
Is that what he has? He has a honey sandwich?
Honey sandwich and he goes to bed.
Right.
So I think you better say
All right.
goodnight.
No, Mr. Woppett.
Whilst Mr. Woppett heads for bed, the Rusty Regiment are putting the icing on their scrap cake. They've added a simple rudder, and they're making sure that their automatic gearbox is a goer.
Neutral. Looks like it's going to work.
Of course it's gonna work.
We never would have predicted it, but the old-timers have joined the ranks of the Scrapheap elite and finished early.
That'll be just dandy. Wet feet. Wonder if we've got any wellies handy.
No time for joking next door. With only seconds to go, the Somerset Scramblers have thrown their drive system together. But they have overlooked one very important thing. They still haven't started their engine.
The 10th hour it is. We've had their time.
Yeah, let's give them a go on. OK, teams, it's time to batten down the hatches and retire to the galley, as your 10 hours are now well and truly up.
Oh yes, teams, rest well, because tomorrow you'll be racing your powerboats, the Scrappy Glory, and a place in the next round. Well done, teams.
Well done, guys.
Our teams have been banging away for 10 hard hours, but whose powerboat will rise to the occasion?
Will it be the Somerset Scramblers and their high-tech hydroplane?
Or will the Rusty Regiment's scrap rib leave them in its wake?
Find out after the break.
Welcome back to Scrapheap Challenge, where our 2 teams are feverishly fettling their powerboats before taking the plunge for the first time.
And this week's challenge will see our teams racing head-to-head on the Scrapheap Lake. 3 races will decide the powerboat crown as our teams compete on this high-speed course. After a straight drag up the lake, they'll split up to negotiate this super tight turn, and the first boat back over the line takes the spoils.
It's a hive of activity in the Tinker Time boatyard, with both teams making those all-important last-minute tweaks. Yesterday saw the Somerset Scramblers plagued by the complexities of their hydroplane, and they're now frantically battling to fit their simple steering system.
Round this side for that, yeah, and still have enough movement to come down here.
The Rusty Regiment finished their build on time, but narrowly avoided putting the kibosh on their challenge this morning with an ill-chosen paint job. Superstitious sailors say green is a nautical no-no, but a swift coat of blue gloss has restored their chances.
Now, Gina, for some reason now, all the way through the build, the Rusty Regiment machine, I thought, I can't see that doing anything. But now that looks more boat-like to me, whereas the Somerset Scramblers just looks like this bizarre sculpture.
The principle is excellent
Right.
on the Scramblers. If it does get up and go, I think it's going to go very well.
Right.
I think we've always got a wee bit of a plodder here with the Rusty Regiment.
Yeah.
But, you know, the hare and the tortoise.
Yes. Now, your 50p, no, it's not 75p now,
I've
isn't it?
increased it to 75p.
75. Is it going to go up today at all?
I put another 25 behind it.
So
I'm
we're
a
going for a
gambling,
full
I'm a
pound. So
gambling girl.
Your full pound is now on which team?
I am going to stick with the Somerset Scramblers.
Kitten! This is it, the moment of truth has arrived.
Yes, it's wet.
It's wet. You're in a boat. Now, in the boat looks fairly dry, is that right?
No, it is fairly dry, yeah. It's quite impressively dry, actually.
Excellent. And do you think this boat is going to break the scrap curse? Is it going to float and go fast at the same time?
It's going float. It's going to go fast.
How fast do you think it's going to go?
Very hard to say. Fast. Fast.
Neck on the line.
Neck on the line, faster than is.
Hello.
So, John, when you built it, did you envisage it having quite this much water in it?
It's pretty deep.
Is it going in your boots there?
It was always going to be wet in here. It does sit a little deeper in the water than originally planned. A lot of our materials we used were heavier than expected and stuff, but you know.
It is pretty deep, isn't it? You've definitely got wet feet there.
Yep, there's a few gallons, but it does, you know, the idea is it just spills out.
Yes.
We'll see how it goes.
The war of words is now over, and it's time for our teams to do battle on the lake. Both boats have made it to the start line, which is an achievement in itself. But will we witness that most elusive of sights? A scrap boat flying across the lake.
Teams, what a delightful day to have a race. On the sound of the horn, show us your pace.
Both boats unleash the horses, but it's the Rusty Regiment who've made the better start.
I think there's actually a scrap-built powerboat on the plane!
That is what we've been wanting on Scrapheap for 10 years, a boat that goes fast.
Oh no, lads, what's happened?
A disastrous start for the Somerset Scramblers. It looks like Kitten can't keep it in gear.
Oh, what a shame, that's so typical.
The scrap rib is absolutely flying, and it has no trouble making that tight turn.
I can't believe it! We can't keep with a boat, and it was built on Scrapheap!
The fastest the hearse engine's ever been.
Poor Kitten. All he can do is sit and watch as JF storms over the finish line.
That is an old hearse engine and some oil barrels going at that speed. Can you believe it?
Success! We've finally seen a scrap boat rise to the challenge and get on the plane. The triumphant Rusty Regiment flew around our course in a speedy 1 minute 4 seconds, whilst the Somerset Scramblers were plagued by a slipping clutch and eventually limped home in a time of 5 minutes 17.
Lisa to Robert, there's nothing like a good close race.
You're right, and that was nothing like a good close race, but it was fantastic.
We could barely keep up with them.
I just felt sorry for poor Kitten, who was definitely left
in the wake of JF.
It's
I think he can afford to.
And Lisa's not wrong. That hydroplane seems to be in all sorts of trouble, and the Rusty Regiment's boat is cruising home.
It's taken them a while to get the confidence. Now it's really flying, isn't it? Beautiful.
That second win seals overall victory for the Army boys, but Kitten is gallantly soldiering on.
Oh dear, it looks like that overstressed engine has called time on Kitten's race, and the Somerset Scramblers challenge is over.
Teams, we asked you to break the curse of the Scrapheap waterborne challenges, and today that curse was definitely broken, but there is of course only one winner.
And the winner this week is the fantastically fast, skimmingly smooth Rusty Regiment! Yay! And don't forget to join us next week when 2 more teams of tenacious tinkerers return to the heap for a real blast of a challenge. We'll see you then.
We'll be recreating the romance of rail travel once again when some West Country wisecrackers take on Birmingham's best bodgers in a thunderous drag race of thrustastic proportions that might just melt your mind.
Well, if you think you and your friends could build mad stuff that can be raced, then head over to channel4.com/scrapheap to find out how to take part in Scrapheap Challenge. Tony Robinson goes back to the first millennium AD to investigate the foundations of our law system in Crime and Punishment at 7, and it's followed by the long arm of the law on the box, How TV Changed Britain at 8.